Good morning and welcome to National Mortgage Advice. My name is David Martinez, and that is Jeff Moore. You can call him at 781-820-1745. How are you today, Jeff?
I'm excellent today, David. Things are good. It's a bright, sunny day. It's been a terrific summer.
Yes.
They tell me we could use more rain. I'm perfectly happy with the way it's been going.
Are you a sun guy?
I'm a sun guy, as you can tell. I am Irish, but I do tan.
An Irishman that tans, that's special. That's usually they burn.
Yeah, they do. Crispy. David, I wanted to talk today about expand a little bit on the new programs for seniors.
Yes.
And I also wanted to drop in on the forbearance issue in a number of different states. As you know, we do lend in 43 states.
Wow.
We do the majority of our lending here in Massachusetts. Just briefly, if this is the first podcast that you have watched, we are bridge lenders, short-term lenders, and we act very, very quickly. I have in the past, with friends of mine in Newton, brought $5 million to the table inside of 10 days.
That's pretty amazing. How long would that take from a bank? Or would the bank have done that?
60, 70 days, and they probably wouldn't have given you a commitment with real liability until a minimum of probably 45 days. Because it takes them that long to gather the documents that are necessary for their shareholders to be protected and to bring the ingredients to the underwriting criteria.
So what benefit, obviously the speed is an important element for a client of yours. Well, what else does it for them? What else is good for them to have it done that quickly?
Well, to have it done that quickly, they are compensated on the back end when they sell the property or when they refinance the property. Oftentimes, let's just use a scenario where you have a white-collar job, got a couple of masters, and you're a really smart guy, so you have a big 401k, and you've got lots of money, and your bank loves you.
Right.
And then there's me. Okay? I got a couple of years in school. I really enjoyed building houses with my father, so I started when I was 14. I know the ins and outs, and now I'm 45 years old, and I'm entering into my second marriage. I no longer have a new truck every 2 years. Maybe I have a new truck every 5 years because of the foolishness that I got myself into, which brings me to the second marriage or brings me to the first bankruptcy or brings me to the business dissolution.
Right.
Let's just say that I may have lost my materialistic goods, but I never lost my brains.
Right.
Where you have done the corporate routine and have great credit and have plugged along corporately, but you never had any real excitement in your life about developing or anything like that, although you've taken some nice vacations. Now I'm scrambling. I'm 45 years old. I know everything that there needs to be known about building 50 units or less. So for me to get back in the game and have a 4-unit or a 10-unit building, I own a piece of land which escaped the divorce, and I need money. Mm-hmm. Now, if we take you as my partner and go to the bank, we go to the bank, and my friend Fred or Ross or someone like that at banks anywhere from $125 million to $13 billion. My friends, most of them are directors of the banks. So I'll go to them and say, okay, well, here's David. He's a really smart guy. He's got plenty of money in his 401k. He's going to sign for me. So David signs for me. Now, David goes on to his regular job. Everything's wonderful. Maybe he stops by Saturday with a couple of coffees and talks to you about how we doing. And you're trying to get, in this scenario, I'm trying to get 3 houses built.
That's right.
Okay? I got a 4-year-old truck. I got to rent the backhoe now. I don't own it anymore. I've got, my septic guy and foundation guy, they want the money up front. Mm-hmm. So I've got to be able to draw down on David's credit. So that's wonderful because now we're borrowing the money from Fred at 5.25% for construction money, maybe 6. Mm-hmm. So that's all wonderful. That's how it normally goes, but that takes 70 days. Okay,
that's
so
a
now
long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time, and because I'm 45 years old and I've been doing this since I was 14, Well, I can weather tight a 5,000 square foot house in 90 days.
Yeah.
If not have it all plumbed, at least rough plumbed in 90 days. 5,000 square feet's a pretty good sized house. But because my subs will show up and everything else. My expertise is not quantifiable to a certain degree, but your 401k and your bank account is very quantifiable to a bank.
Absolutely.
So consequently, I'm drawing on a little bit here, but consequently, let's say at the end of it, we make $600,000. So we made $200,000 a house, and because you're my partner, I walk away with $300,000 in a new start on life, and you walk away with, oh my God, this was terrific.
Right.
You know, you did everything you said you were going to do, Jeffrey, and I just put $300,000 in my 401k.
That's a good deal.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really put up any money because I put up the land, you put up your signature. So it's a
Right.
great deal for you. It's an okay deal for me. But now let's turn the tide. That's the bank scenario.
Okay.
Now, if I were to go to one of my friends, we'll call them David.
Right.
I go to David and say, David, I own this piece of land. I can build 3 houses. It's already subdivided. The curb cuts are no problem. And I've got the utilities at the driveway. He says, yeah, okay, great. So how much money do you have in it? I said, I own the land. He says, well, how much is the land's worth? I said, the land alone's worth $175,000 to $200,000 a lot. So now David's looking at me going, well, let's just pretend Jeff's completely lying and the land's only worth $400,000. But I own it outright. So I've got $400,000 in equity, but my credit's horrible, and I need to get started because it is November 15th. And I want to get weather tight before the snow.
Oof.
Okay? And you don't want to be shingling in late December.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Okay, so using those dates, mid-November to December mid to January mid, now the bank would be lending me the money somewhere in February.
Oof.
You come to me and I go, okay, he says, well, what is it? What's David going to charge me? David's going to say, look, I'll charge you, 12%. And I go, geez, David, that's kind of steep. Well, David has the tenacity and also the brains to sit me down and do the math. If we do the math, because I'm only going to want this loan for 6 months, I'm selling in the spring market.
Right.
Okay, I'm selling. Simple as that. He sits down and he shows me the difference between 12% today. Get started 15. Call your foundation people. Schedule the lumber for 30 days from then or whatever. Call them. You've got the money, because David's got $400,000 in equity at best case. At worst case, at best case he's got $600,000. So he's lending his children's money.
That's
Right?
Right.
He's lending his children's money. He's old
Right.
like I am, so he's lending the kids money. So we lend Jeff, in this case, the money. So consequently, Jeff gets the money in 10, 15 days. The foundations are dug. The cement is poured. The lumber shows up. The framing crew goes from one house to the next house to the next house. They get paid. Everything goes boom, boom, boom. Of course, at 12%, you realize you don't pay 12% for the total loan, for the $1.5 million loan.
Right.
You only pay 12% on what you draw down.
Okay.
So if you order the lumber, it shows up on the 1st of the month. Well, the lumber yard's not going to expect to get paid until the 30th. So you have free lumber until the 30th.
Yeah. So get
Oh,
cracking.
Get cracking at
Right.
12%. So you don't owe any money for that lumber. Okay, you don't owe any money for anything else that you use, as long as you're going to pay in 30 days or pay in 15 days.
So you're not on that 12% clock.
So you're not on the 12% clock,
Right.
and even though it looks like a lot of money because you borrowed $100.5 million. Consequently, David's lent me the money. Here it comes April. Well, April, I'm sweeping the floors. I'm putting in by April. I'm sweeping the floors. I'm putting in hardwood.
Yeah.
I'm getting a quote on the rugs for the second floor. The masons cleaning up the dust on the 2 fireplaces. The back porches are done. It's a 5,000 square foot house. A lot of details happened in 6 months, 7 months, because they've got a big crew. Been doing it since I was 14. Blah 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 blah.
Right,
blah.
right.
Consequently, how much money did I say we make with the bank?
3 each if you have a partner, right?
Right. What if you're not a partner?
That's true.
is $600,000.
$600,000.
Right.
That's a
okay,
good-
but he had to pay 12% for the money.
Right.
So what does that turn out to be? Somewhere in the neighborhood of 540.
Yeah.
So I ask you, do you want $300,000 and have to put up with David every Saturday bringing coffee,
Check
right?
it on, yeah.
Or do you want to own the whole thing yourself and walk away with 540, 550?
In a really short period of time.
In a short, in a
Right.
short period of time, because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm Jeff the developer. I'm Jeff the builder.
Yeah.
Those are the people that we lend to locally. Okay, and that's what happens. We are asset lenders on real estate only. We can't give you a business loan unless I can attach something to a strip mall or a four-family or anything. Okay, we really don't want to attach your primary home. There's a lot of consumer laws in Massachusetts. Some of them are fair. Some of them are not so fair to the fellow taking the risk.
Right.
So I don't bother with that any longer. I gave those licenses up. We will cross-collateralize, though. Say you want to buy a house, and you've got good credit, and it's a four-family, and it's right outside of Boston and Brighton on the MBTA line. Your daughter's going to BU. You live in North Adams, or you live out in the western part of the state, but it's a
Right.
good investment. And you don't have a lot of cash because you've got it invested other places that are earning money, and you inherited another two-family out in, just outside of Worcester. Well, the inheritance on the two-family, you didn't have a mortgage, but you want to buy a three or four-family in Brighton. So I'll take a first mortgage on the three or four-family in Brighton, and I'll cross-collateralize it with that two-family outside of Worcester, and you don't have to put any money down.
So
Because you've got a $300,000 two-family outside of Worcester.
Right.
Okay.
that you haven't paid any money for.
Right, because you inherited it or you paid it off in your 20s. That's
Right.
where you used to live.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
the circumstances
Right.
were. Or maybe you've got a $300,000 house with only a $100,000 mortgage. Whatever
Okay. Yeah,
the whole point of the circumstances are, call me. Talk to me.
Right.
I'll figure out a deal.
Yeah, because you've done this so many times. Whether it's a free and clear house or a house like you said that has a value of 4 and you only have 90 left on the mortgage, there's value in between there.
There's
right?
a lot of value. There's a lot of value there, and that's a lot of that is what we do that banks either don't take the time to do. Because let's face it, you're a banker. You sit there, you walk in with your suit, right? You've been doing it for 30 years. Right. You're tired of it, or you'd rather focus on your golf game or your squash game or go fishing or whatever it is. But you're this is your career, and you're not about to get out at 52 years old. Yeah. Okay. So they come in. If you don't, they come in and they kiss your ring. They literally come in and kiss your ring. Please, Mr. Banker, please, please, please. He has no control over it. He has none. It's the underwriting criteria that he has to deal with that makes the difference in his bank, whatever bank he's in. If he's been around for 30, 35 years, more than likely he's been at 3 or 4 different banks.
Right.
Or at least 2. Okay, so they all have different criteria, as I explained in the first podcast. And the reality is we'll figure out a way to get you the money where it protects us, because we've got to remember, we're lending our children's money.
Right.
My money, come on, David. Couple of adult beverages, go down and see the Indians in Connecticut.
Let's go do it.
Put some money on red.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah.
But the reality is that when you lend family money, when you lend estate money, you've got to be conservative. So if we cross collateralize, which seems like a great deal for you, which it is, because you're not putting up any money.
Mm-hmm. That's the key.
We're still at 50% loan to value or 60% loan to value. So it's a fabulous deal for our estate, because our risk isn't there. Mm-hmm. But there aren't a lot of people that think that way, and there aren't a lot of people that are willing to make the deal. Again, as I've said before, I'm not a banker. I didn't graduate with banking degrees. I don't have a financial degree. We come to this, my friends and I come to this purely as developers. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, for the short period of time, we do make some money. Mm-hmm. But what's wrong with that? That's America.
It's capitalism, baby. But you're also helping somebody else out.
We can solve a problem. We
exactly.
we focus on the solution when people aren't there. Banks refer transactions to us.
Oh, so do they? So a bank calls you this morning and says, "Jeff, I have a deal I can't do, but I know you can."
Correct.
Is that how that works?
That's right. Last night somebody called me. It was 7 o'clock. I was reading, listening to a little music, and they call up and say, "Hi, and I can't tell you the name, but
Right.
it was a major bank loan officer." Okay, and he's in what they call an LO, loan officer, and they work by percentages, 80 basis points, which is just less than a point, is what they get from their loans. But the fellow had a 660 score, 25% down for an investment property, but the bank needed 680 on the score. So arbitrarily, he's never going to get through the underwriting because they're going to sell that loan down the road with a bundle
Right.
of $100 million or so of all loans of that type with a minimum 680 score.
Okay.
So he doesn't meet the menu.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
He doesn't meet the menu. He wants a special that's not on the menu.
Yeah, and then the banks won't deviate from that.
And this is a billion-dollar bank, but this guy's just a loan officer. So he's got a problem. The loan officer's got a problem. He goes, "Oh, what am I going to do with this? I got to be polite to the guy because corporate will come down on my head if I just stop answering his phone calls or if I, But he has some liability because he's on a purchase and sale. So he has to perform either by showing finances or closing in a certain time frame. Consequently, they call me up at 7 o'clock at night and I go, not, you send me the constant contact every week. I don't know if you can help, and so I cut to the chase and say, what does he own? What does he got to do?
Yeah, the questions to ask. That's the thing,
what does
right?
he own? What is it this? What is that? Well, everybody wants to tell you the story from their side of the table.
Yeah, that's true.
So here's what happens. This morning at 6:30, I went into the office a little early. He sent me his application. He sent me the purchase and sale. He sent me bank statements proving that he has the 25% down. He sent me his own personal house that he owns outright.
Nice.
That's worth $450,000.
See, that's great.
And he wants to buy this. He's got a really good deal on an executive type house. I think it's about 3,800 square feet in Waterbury, Connecticut. Now, in Waterbury, Connecticut, that's a pretty pricey little town.
Is it?
There's a lot of corporate shifting and moving and this and that. There's always someone that can pay a very reasonable rent for that. Here's his problem. He needs a term sheet today for them to accept his offer.
Really?
So 7 o'clock last night until today, I'm here for the podcast. I'm here. I've got another appointment before 12. So at 1 o'clock or 12:30, I've got to sit down and go through this material and give him a term sheet that gives him some credibility, but doesn't create a liability situation for National Mortgage Advice.
Yeah, for you. You got to...
So I've got to get on the phone with a couple of my friends and say, hey, you want to split this up? You want to take a third of this?
So when you get a last minute call like that, and with the time limit of today, I mean, you have less than 24 hours to get a deal done. Is that a red flag for you?
Not really to get a deal done. He needs a term sheet to prove to the seller that he's got money available.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Otherwise, the seller's going to put it back on the market tomorrow morning.
Got it.
Saturday morning.
All right.
So he needs to be taken seriously. Why he waited this long, or better, what happened is the loan officer waited that long because he wanted his 80 basis points, which is why I mentioned what his pay is.
Right.
Okay, because they're commissioned salespeople. So they thought they could stuff it into a shoebox of their criteria, and in the end, that fellow's boss said no.
Yeah. Right.
So he's got to go back to his client and say, we're not able to do it. The powers that be told me I can't. However, Jeff Moore may be able to help you. I got a guy.
I got a guy.
I got a guy. Absolutely. So that's what happens with that, and that makes us.
Ooh, I like it.
That makes us. In fact, that's him. That makes us asset lenders.
Right.
Because we don't really care about the credit. We'd like it if it was pretty good,
Yeah.
But we also, it's all about the loan to value, where the property is, what condition the property is,
Right.
what the cash flow might be. Now he believes, and we believe, because I did some comps last night, that he's going to be able to drag in at least $5,000 a month for rent for this house.
Wow, good.
So that's
so
great.
that's good.
Yeah,
You take
that's
that
great.
into account.
Yeah, and we're going to lend him $400,000 and cross collateralize it with his personal home.
Right.
So now we're going to be under 50% loan to value.
Nice.
So that's where that is. But that's we do not just to shift over. We do construction loans. Construction loans. A lot of banks are getting out of it right now because they don't know where COVID's going to bring them in the economics.
Right.
Okay, and we will do construction loan. We're not doing a lot of construction loans on the top half of New Hampshire or up in the woods in Maine, because we may never get out of it. But if you've got, anywhere inside of 495 or just outside of 495 in Mass,
that's got to be good value.
and
too.
yeah, and in other states that we lend in, if you're down in the southwest corner of Connecticut, those are fairly pricey towns. Hartford, Waterbury, Glastonbury. We know we can get rid of something even if it's half built.
Right.
The contractor runs away with the secretary to Vegas. You don't know. So that's construction loans are possible, and they're short-term loans, and we work to make it happen. But the big program, the new program that is just phenomenal, and we've already executed one of them, is for seniors. Mm-hmm. Let me just give you an example. You've got in Dorchester, you've got school teacher and his wife bought the house back in late 60s, early 60s. They've owned it. They've never refinanced it. The poor fellow passed away, so his wife is in there now, but they have 2 tenants that have been with them a long time. But she has no cash. Teacher's pension from the Boston school system, it's not that great.
Right.
So he really doesn't have any cash. And one of her sons still lives with him. Okay? And he's about 50 years old, so he's pushing mommy's apron a little bit too hard, in my opinion, but that's the way it goes.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So now he needs cash to pay off his bills. She needs money on a daily basis. And if they sell the house, it'll be traumatic, and they'll have to leave, and they don't know whether they're going to get the good price, the bad price, and the tenants don't really. The tenants are tenants. That's what you take. Mm-hmm. So the reality is this: the governor's given a forbearance. So one of them's not paying the rent. So now that mortgage and that lack of cash flow falls back on mom.
Right.
So mom doesn't know what to do. Our new program will allow us to purchase that 3-family from mom, leave her in the apartment. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's over 62. We leave her in the apartment. We have a process where we create a loan for her where we're sending her $3,000 a month in addition to $400,000 or $500,000 that we would pay her depending on what the property's worth. Now we just did one. It was listed for $980. It was a little strong for what the rents were and the fact that we'd have to rehab all of it.
Oh, really?
Okay, so all new kitchens, all new baths, all of that. So you're getting to the point where you're not going to make any money, and it's just an exercise. So the reality is this: we're gonna pay them. We're going to pay them $450,000, and we're going to arrange a reverse mortgage for mom. She's going to get her $2,000-3,000 a month, and she stays in the apartment. And she is this particular mom is about 70. She's about 72 years old. So let's just say she stays alive for 10, 12, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And the reverse mortgage runs up to $300,000. But she only draws down $250,000.
Right.
Okay? Now, when she passes, we already have the option to purchase upon her passing. Mm-hmm. Because we've protected her and bought the place, paid off all the loans, and made everything nice.
Right.
When she passes in 15 years or 10 years, we have the option to purchase at a predetermined price. Mm-hmm. So it's a good deal for us in 15 years, but it's a good deal for the heirs because they didn't have to send $3,000 or $4,000 to mom every month.
Right.
Okay? Or $2,000 or $1,000 or whatever it is. They don't have to carry mom. Mom's carrying herself. Mm-hmm. Now, they'll say, well, you took all the money out of our inheritance. Well, wait a minute. You're standing on your own. You're living out in Newton. You're up in Chelmsford in a 4,000 square foot house. Because mom and dad sent you to UMass, and you got your master's there.
Yeah.
So now
That was your inheritance.
that was in your inheritance. But
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear that.
No.
But if mom is smart, she'll take our deal. She'll be independent as hell. She'll have no bills.
Right. That's the key, right? No bills.
No bills. She's got no bills. All the bills that the son that was living with her, it ran up. They're all paid off, and she stays in her neighborhood because Gladys is 3 doors down, and because Lucy, they go over to the church together on Saturday morning, and they go for twice a week they go for breakfast. That's all taken care of. You're not going to lose. You're not going to leave your neighborhood.
And that's a big deal for seniors.
It's a great big deal for seniors.
Well, to stay where you've been and to stay with the people you know and the neighborhood you know is important to them.
Correct.
And sometimes younger adults don't realize that. They think, yeah, they'll just move them into our house or move them into a home. What's the big deal? No, it is a big deal.
Our parents used to stay 30 years with GE. 35 years with GM. What about the Framingham GM shop out there? I mean, all the time. The reality is that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, that helps a difficult situation for seniors, and especially the governor's the forbearance. People don't realize just because he says, well, there's a forbearance,
right?
So you don't have to pay your $2,000 in rent. So that's 1 month. Now it's a forbearance for 3 months. So that's 3 months. That's $6,000. That's $6,000 cash.
A lot of dough.
When the forbearance comes off, if you don't pay the mortgage holder or the landlord that $6,000, they can evict you almost immediately.
Oof.
Even in Massachusetts, the courts are going to be packed with people. And the reality is, mom is the one that suffers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because she's not getting the rent in a 3-family and a 4-family. That was supposed to be her inheritance that her husband and her worked for.
Right.
Okay? And the reality is that she's suffering. And the tenant works a normal job, but you know as well as I do, he doesn't put the $2,000 aside. No. Because he may be out of work.
Yeah.
He may have lost his job, or he got downsized, or he's on furlough. I never had a furlough in my life, but then again, I'm a terrible employee. That's the reality. So when this thing turns and the governor gets rid of the forbearance, you have to pay.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem, right?
It's going to be a huge problem. It's going to take us so much longer to crawl out of this economic mess than it did the 2008 banking fiasco.
You think so, huh?
I will bet you money, cash. Put cash in an envelope right here today. I mean, it's
Can I borrow it from you?
No. It's just a very, very difficult situation that I can see coming. And this is why the seniors program, we will buy their house, 2, 3, 4 family, 5 family, even a 10-unit building, and leave them in the building. Mm-hmm. Leave them in the building and fix up everything that has to be fixed up with the building.
Right.
And pay them. We will arrange for a cash annuity almost, a reverse mortgage or a cash lent on a monthly basis. So they don't have those cash flow issues and all their bills are paid. And they stay in the same neighborhood.
That's unbelievable.
Now, I do want to make, and I'll in the next podcast, I'll make this a lot more available. But I have, if you wish to email me, I have an Excel program for the fix and flippers and the developers, which will, very simple on Excel, you plug in the number, it tells you what it's going to be. You plug in the interest rate, it tells you what the interest rate is going to be, tells you the programs,
nice.
and it's developers math. We will send you that with instructions on how to use it so that you'll know whether a deal is going to be good on the end at all. And if you have an idea of the cost of the rehab, then you plug it in, and with your application, you send it back to me. Or use it. Use it. I'm not selling tapes. I'm not selling seminars. I don't want you to come for the free weekend evening meal. None of that. Okay, that's not what we do. We actually close deals. We don't close. We're not looking for a funnel.
Right.
Okay. Now, speaking of funnels, the fellow that called me last night, the loan officer, he will get paid. I'm in the investment, residential, and in commercial investment business, so I can pay referrals.
Right.
So for every broker, real estate broker that sees this, I do pay referrals.
Very good.
And I have references on that.
How do we get in touch with you?
You get in touch with us through the National Mortgage Advice website or 781-820-1745.
It's important, folks, to give it a call. Give Jeff a call today and find out what you can do. There are many more options with Jeff than a bank. Give him a call. Jeff, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.